Hey stars, it's me, Shorter Star, and I'm back. Like I told you guys in the last video, I'm feeling much better, so you would be hearing from me a little more often. How about that? Okay, so I want to start this one off with now pay attention, people, for real. This one's going to need a little attention. Patient dies after hospital misidentifies and asks wrong family about removing life support. Okay? Um, I know that sounds a little confusing, but this is how the story goes, okay? Um, Mind you, this actually took place in 2021, but one of the families didn't become aware of what happened until 2023, the end of 2023. So that's why I'm bringing you this story. It's a little older, but it catches up. Okay. A man dies after he was taken off of life support when he was misidentified as his hospital roommate at a Vancouver, Washington hospital in the summer of 2021. David Wells died on August 9th, 2021, after his hospital roommate Michael Beecher's family permitted the removal of Beecher's from his life support on August 8th, 2021 at Peace Health Southwest Medical Center in Vancouver, Washington. Okay? Now, Wells, who was 69, arrived at the Vancouver Medical Center via ambulance on August 8th, 2021, after he choked on a piece of steak, became unconscious, and stopped breathing. Then Wells was incorrectly identified as Beechler, his roommate, and the hospital contacted Beechler's sister, Debbie Danielson, to decide whether the brain dead patient would remain on life support. After she made the difficult decision to end the life of who she thought was her brother, she grieved him, wrote his obituary for the newspaper, and arranged his funeral. But then she learned Beechler was alive when he called her. I said, "You can't be alive. You're dead." Okay, so what happened was, and I can just state this from being in the hospital within the past week, right? They put these bans on you as soon as you register. You get this ban on you, and every time they come into your room with anything for you, any test, any food, any of those things, they take this machine out of their pocket, looks like a phone. They scan your thing and asks you your name and your birthday. So I don't understand how the mistake happened, but nevertheless, this went on. So one family knows that the mistake was made, but the other family didn't find out a mistake was made until the first family decided to sue the hospital, is when the other family found out. So they actually tried to hide it for a number of years. This happened in the summer of 2021. They didn't find out about it until the end of 2023. So I don't quite know how something like this could actually happen. Like I said, they now maybe rules were different 4 years ago. Now that we're in 2025. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think they still scan you. But nevertheless, they called two men are sharing a room. They're both on life support. One from choking on a steak and believed that he was brain dead. So they wanted to know, how long did you want to keep him on life support? But they called the wrong family who was in the same situation. They're in the same room. And she authorized, yes, take him off of life support, but they took the wrong one off of life support. It's just a complete mess. I have plenty of people and friends in the medical. How does something like this happen? And how often does something like this happen? For the hospital to actually try to cover it up for a couple of years. The family, when they found out, they said they were never told by the medical examiner because that's how they figured out when her brother called her to say that he was alive. She went to the police. She went to the hospital and told them about the mistake that had been made. But because her brother was alive, I guess I don't know how that affected and why it took so long from 2021 to 2023 to file a lawsuit, but the other family didn't know. They informed the other family that a medical emergency had happened overnight and that their family member had passed away when actually they took him off of life support by mistake. So I, I don't know. I'm actually gagging at that one. And I had to tell you guys because it's an ongoing litigation. So now I'm going to stay on top of this one because this one I want to know what penalty does this hospital pay? Um, hmm. Okay, so we're going to go to the Los Angeles wildfires. Now I know that plenty of us are familiar with Ricki Lake. Those of us, New York, New Jersey, I don't know. I know she was syndicated everywhere, but I know we really got into Ricki Lake here. I actually was on a show once. So, um, yeah, so this is Ricki Lake. For those who may not remember, she's a little older now, but she actually lost her home in these wildfires. But she comes to say that the medium, Tyler Henry, he looks kind of young. He predicted to her that her house or a house that she owns would burn down 3 months ago. She had a meeting with her fiance, and this medium, Tyler Henry, and he told her that he saw fire, he saw water, and it was something was burning, and it came off as a house that she owned. I don't know how many homes she owned, but yeah. So he kind of predicted this to her 3 months ago, and she stated that they had another prediction was he saw a basement flooding, and there were pictures floating in the water. I guess things that couldn't be replaced, things that are lost by, when there's fire, then water comes to put out the fire, and that's whatever the fire didn't destroy, the water's going to destroy. I thought that was interesting. And staying with the LA fires, I don't know how many of you guys actually watch Selling Sunset. Is a realty show where it's the Jason Oppenheim, and he's a twin, and they run this real estate empire, and it's all women. All the real estate agents in there are women. I've been watching it for years, but nevertheless, Selling Sunset, they really sell high end luxury homes, and what's happening is since these fires have started, he's coming forward, even though he owns a real estate empire. He says that he states that um, okay, Selling Sunset star Jason Oppenheim accuses LA landlords of illegally ripping off wildfire victims with housing prices. And for him to come forward, because I think firsthand, someone that he was actually representing, he states that before the fires, this person had a house through his company for rent for $13,000 a month. And once these fires started, people when they evacuated and left, they started looking for places to rent. That's what the wealthy do. I mean, come on, $13,000 a month. Okay, so but he's noticing that the people, once they realize the fires and all the devastation, one of the people that I assume he no longer represents, allegedly, pushed the fee from $13,000 a month to $23,000 a month. And at first, when it was 13, they had started getting offers. People wanted to rent the houses because they moved, they evacuated theirs. At this point, I don't know if their homes have already been destroyed or in harm's way. Either way, this person was like, they offered 20. The house at this point was still 13,000 a month. They offered them 20 and said they'll pay 6 months in advance. So they offered $20,000 when the rent they were asking 13 and said they would pay 6 months in advance. The owner came back to them and said, no, 23, which is $10,000 more than what the house was actually being offered for rent. For 13,000, now he's taking full advantage because people need these homes. He went to 23,000. So I mean, I think it's actually brave of Jason to come forward with it, to be a realtor and to go in and say that, landlords are illegally ripping off wildfire victims. I guess is a knife that can cut both ways. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's weird. What we've seen worse. And I came across this advice columnist. And the reason I came across, I was looking for something. I don't know how many people live in shoe-free homes, meaning once someone reaches your door, their shoes come off. There's no shoes in your house. Well, my house have been like this. Jesus, anybody that knows me knows my house has been like this for the past 15 years that I've been here. Because we used to have plush carpet. So when you came in, that was part of the joy of coming here. When you took off your shoes, the carpet was plush. You could lay in it. You could sit on it. And so there was nothing being brought in from outside. Okay, so we down. Now, of course, no carpet, hardwood floors, but it's still the same. We don't bring shoes and things, just like we don't bring house clothes purposely into our bedroom. You won't see us sitting on our bed in clothes that we've been outside in. But nevertheless, I thought it was an etiquette lesson for all of us because this has come up, and more and more people I know don't allow shoes in their home. And my nephew gave a New Year's Eve gathering that I went to that I told you, and and I said to him ahead of time because we had been out, we're very close and we've been out shopping, and I would say, well, you're having this event at your house on New Year's Eve, and he's just had his house redone, so it was to showcase that plus New Year's Eve celebration. So I said to him, well, you're inviting people over, and he's usually into themes and stuff. But I said, for New Year's Eve, people get dressed, and you're asking people to be picture ready for New Year's Eve. Blazer, cute loafer, shoe, nothing too crazy, but picture ready for the new year. But now you don't allow shoes in your home, so shoes are an intricate part of any outfit that I wear. Sometimes the shoe is the first thing I pick up. So I thought it was a little, and we discussed it. And he said, well, he's coming up with something that crossed his mind. So he was going to come up with something. Okay, fine. So on New Year's Eve, if you know, here in New Jersey, it rained. So it was wet. So that even made it worse. But he had these really nice covers that you put your foot into, and you could still wear your shoe, and it had a shoe cover and this, that, and the third. Okay. So that's how that worked out. But I wanted to know the etiquette of the proper way it should be done. And this is what I came up with. This advice columnist is called Asking Eric. Okay. Okay, so asking Eric, was it rude of new acquaintances to ask us to remove our shoes at their dinner party? So I have come across things, and this is come up. And I just thought it was something to pass on so we'll know the etiquette. Those of us that have homes that we don't allow shoes, um, this is what we should do. Okay, so recently, dear Eric, recently, my husband and I were invited to a dinner party at a new acquaintance home. There were 5 couples in attendance, and we were all dressed nicely, country club casual. Okay, so when we arrived, we were asked to remove our shoes. Neither of us had worn socks, and we were very uncomfortable, as were other guests. Okay, so they weren't the only one that was uncomfortable. I say this was very rude, but I have heard mixed opinions about this. What's your thought, Eric? And I thought that was interesting because you're going to come across this more and more. I know I do. I know I do. And I would like to address it properly, and I would like to be able to know what to do. So, Eric advised, he advised it. His answer was, Dear Barefoot, rude, I'm not so sure. But if The host guests were uncomfortable. That indicates a missed opportunity to provide better hospitality. They might have included a sentence in the invitation where a shoe off household. We are a shoe off household. So please wear some fun, colorful socks. That said, if that's a shoe off household, they probably didn't give you bare feet a second thought because they're not bringing anything. So when they saw you barefoot, they didn't think anything of it because they might walk barefoot. Now I find it horrible to walk around barefoot on hardwood floors. I don't know about who else, but to me it wears and tears at your feet. If you notice your feet get drier, I always try to put on a sock or something like that. Never barefoot, definitely not. So I thought that that was a great way of handling this situation. So if you have a house where it's a no shoe house, when you invite people over and there's a theme or not, you state to them, you pre-warn them, you let them know what they're walking into. Okay, what they're walking into. And you say, you know what, this is a shoe off household, is what they call it now. And please wear some fun, colorful socks. If you don't have socks, we will have socks here for you, which me and my husband, we're good for that. We have gone out and brought out a little, like a dollar store for their little cotton socks. Because when we had people coming over, we had a little bucket at the front door with brand new socks laid out. And what I find weird about that is when it's time to leave, people want to take off their socks and put them on. Some people, but they want to ball them up and put them back in the bin. And I'm like, honey, take them with you. Take them with you. There's a pair of socks. You go to the gym, you do something. There's a pair of socks. You take them home. You and your husband, whoever, wash them, and now you got an extra pair of new socks. You'll get a new pair every time you come. I promise you. But you taking off your socks and putting them back, it was so many people, and I'm sure again we didn't instruct them what to do with it, so they didn't know what to do with it. So, that's another thing. If we and have them, if you're supplying socks to those who may need them because they may not wear them or remember, um, tell them these are new socks and they're for you. Take them with you. Period. Okay, so I just thought that was really, really good and interesting. Okay, so we're going to go to Georgia. Okay, we're going to go to Springfield, Georgia. I heard this a little while ago, but I never reported it. But I thought it was a good time to report it because it all had to do with the new year. So keep that date in mind. So, okay, so a Springfield, Georgia judge is found unalived in courtroom on his final day on the bench. State Court Judge Stephen Yuckel, who was 74, is believed to have passed away by suicide, authorities said. Now, they're not quite sure if it happened on that day because when he was found that morning. They don't know if it happened that morning, but now what they're saying is they believe that he knew it was his last day. It was the last day of the year. It was an election. Okay, it says a judge was found unalived in a Georgia courtroom on what was to have been his last day on the job, authorities stated. Effingham County Sheriff and Georgia deputies found court judge Stephen Yeckel, 74, on Tuesday morning. He appeared to have passed away by suicide. Yeckel, who was appointed to the bench 2 years ago by Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, lost his election bid earlier this year. His term was scheduled to end December 31st, 2024, New Year's Eve. So because he could not keep his job and he was voted out, Your Honor decided to off himself. I don't quite know. I think it sounds like it's way more to it because we know judges have a certain amount of power at certain places and who knows what he may have been allegedly tied into. Because for you to be not reelected and for your last day on the bench, you unalive yourself and you're 74. Hello, how many more years did you want to control this bench? You should be retired at 74. Your judgment, come on, might be a little foggy because you're thinking of things. I think at a certain age, some things should turn over. I do. I don't think that honestly, this is just my opinion, allegedly. I don't believe we need 80-year-old judges. Why? Because first off, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and they're used to seeing things and they're used to doing things in a certain manner. And as we know, life changes daily. On a daily basis, life change. We don't do the same things we did 10 years ago. The children are not the same from 10 years ago. It's different. So I say at 74 years old, I believe there's more to the story. I didn't hear anything else about it, but I thought it was interesting for his last day on the bench, which was December 31st. He unalived himself. So, okay. So I don't know how many of you guys are into hip hop or we're of a certain age, but I'm sure most of you guys have heard of Joe Buttons. One way he was a rapper, now he's like this podcaster and he does a lot of different things. I mean, it is what it is. Well, apparently we didn't know this, but early in December, Joe Budden's charged with lewdness after neighbors alleges rapper stood completely naked in apartment hallway. Okay. He states, I was sleepwalking somewhere that I shouldn't have sleepwalk. That's what happened. That's what Mr. Buttons is saying. He was sleepwalking. Okay. So I mean, those of us that have watched Love and Hip Hop and different things, we are aware of who Joe Buttons is. Okay, fine, no problem. Um, I don't even know if it's fair to still call him a rapper. I mean, he hasn't done anything in such a long time. Just call him a podcaster or entertainer or something at that point. I mean, I don't know. But he had spent quite a few years on Love and Hip Hop and Tahiri and different women in different situations and different things. Okay, so the story goes, he's because I heard him actually explain the story on his podcast finally, because apparently he hadn't been able to do his podcast for a while because he stated that somehow all his court dates, like he does his podcast on certain days, like say it's a Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Well, all his court dates was scheduled for those days. So he was unable to, record. So he said, I don't understand why you wouldn't just change it to another day. But I personally think you didn't want to talk about it. So you stayed away. That's my opinion, allegedly. Okay. That's what it was. So I heard him say out of his own mouth that he has a issue with a next door neighbor. The woman is Russian. The man is is German. Just allegedly, that's what I remember. And that he's had a problem with them back and forth where they don't like the company he keeps. He says they have made noise complaints. They've made different types of complaints, which you go through when you live in these high rises. And I believe he's in Edgewater, New Jersey, right out the Lincoln Tunnel. So one of those buildings in that area. And he's had problems with them. And apparently their doorbell camera, this happened at wee hours in the morning, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, that their Ring camera picked up, when you approached the Ring camera or someone's door, it looks like he's punching in codes in the door, like as if, our apartments and up-to-date homes, we have those locks where we can punch in a code and get in. Okay, but he's nude. He doesn't have any clothes on. And so he was arrested. They filed a complaint with the police. They showed him the video. He was in the hallway, but naked. And whatever. Well, his defense was he was sleepwalking. He said that it was a mistake. He didn't mean to, but I don't know. And just certain things came up with the questioning that went on in court. And so he was charged, but apparently it's been thrown out because the things that they accused him of, they said that he was actually masturbating in the camera. And I think it was like a 10 to 12 second video from their camera. So he was not. So certain things they said wasn't true. And he could possibly have been sleepwalking. I don't know. But apparently it didn't end up being much. He's back on the air. He's back doing his show with his co-hosts. And I just thought that was interesting. Sleepwalking. Actually didn't think of that one before. Okay, I guess. Um, Listen, guys, I don't make it. I just bring it to you. Okay. Listen, I enjoyed you guys again. Once again, I want you guys to stay intentional, stay informed. We have probably 4 to 5 days before our new president comes into office, and it is what it is. We already know what to expect. Um, and apparently, within a few days, TikTok may be gone. Don't know what that is. What I do hope one wish I do hope he keeps is getting rid of that congestion pricing in New York. That's affecting every neighboring state. It's ridiculous. But that's what I wish. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. I love you guys. See you next time. Again, be intentional, be informed. I love you. Until next time.